the teaching about hell is resisted by the church and the unchurched in this comfort-driven culture because it challenges American sensibilities and threatens what they consider their liberty. Liberty ends or becomes gloriously perfect when we die. The dead man cannot get over there and say, I want my freedom, my First Amendment, my Second Amendment, whatever amendment you have. When you close your eyes, it's over. It's only God that decides what happens to you next. Liberty can become gloriously perfect when we die, if you make heaven, because then you're really free. It depends on the condition of your soul. Many live as if there is no hell. Many talk as if there is no hell. Many live as if they have already purchased heaven by their own money, by their own power. How you live tells us what you believe. Belief affects action and attitude. We said that more than once. Most people, including church people, most people do not believe there is hell. The way they talk, the things they do. They show it by the way they live. A great evangelist openly doubted literal hell after spending millions of dollars over several decades on crusades to save the lost. In his dying days, he no longer believed in literal hell. And you wonder, what was he making all that for, spending all that money for? All that crusade. Is it not to pull people out of hell? Is it not to pull people out of fire, to get them saved, so that they would not be banished by their Creator in eternity? The commonest lie at funerals is the deceased went to heaven. Everyday person went to heaven. Well, I'm not criticizing them much in the sense that I think some of them do know that those people didn't go to heaven. Because this is usually said in order to be socially appropriate and sensitive. But it's not those people that say those things that send people to heaven. Just because you say it, my mother went to heaven, my father went to heaven, my children, my young little child went to heaven. Just because you say it doesn't procure it. It is a decision that God alone makes. And he makes that decision several times in a day. We're told before the pandemic, 150,000 people were dying a day. And of course, we know majority of the world, they are not heaven-bound, born-again Christians. So you imagine if there are 200,000 people that died, 200,000 times every day, God is making this decision who is heading to hell and who is heading to heaven. And that's why when Jesus was speaking in, you will call it a lengthy speech, sending out, commissioning the disciples to go and preach, he warned them that there's going to be resistance, there's going to be opposition, there's going to be persecution, and so on and so forth. There's going to be things you see that frighten you. But he warned them, don't get frightened. Because your soul, Satan can't do anything with your soul. it may torture the body and kill the physical body, but your soul is in the hand of God. And if you are to yield in fear to the demands of Satan and not do the will of God for your life, he says it's God that is going to decide where your soul ends up. And so he says in Matthew chapter 10, verse 28, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. When you want to talk about hell, they say it's too harsh. If you tell somebody in that false religion that you are, you're arguing to defend it, you cannot miss hell if you die. They say, oh, you're being harsh. Just tell them Jesus loves them. But it's the loving God that gave us the warning to escape hell. It's the loving God that punished his son on Calvary. Harsh punishment. In order to redeem us from death, from hell, from the fire. That's what God did. Because hell is so real and bad that God would rather afflict his son on our behalf in order to prevent us from going there. So, when any sinner, an unsaved person, the person that is not born again, the person that has not given his or her life to Jesus Christ, when that person dies, he goes to hell and awaits final judgment for the lake of fire. The lake of fire is where God will take dead and pick up hell and throw all of them into the lake of fire.